Evening, everyone. Welcome to GNR tonight. Where are we? 23rd of February. The year's going quickly already. But before we really start, though, we're going to have a minute for remembering Councillor Kevin Towell, who had chaired this committee and being Cornwall Councillor for the area as well. So if we can do that, that would be great. Thank you. Brilliant. And Andy's sat back down again. Okay, so apologies then. We have apologies from Councillor Slade, and that's it, I'm afraid. So, yeah, enjoying an evening in Flushing.
Can we just note that Councillor Jacobs didn't give
Yes, and there's been no apologies from Councillor Jacobs, I'm afraid. Right, interests? As and when, if something springs to mind. Still think of a different in bird watching. Right, minutes. So hopefully we've had a chance to look at the minutes. We had a last minute typo spot by Councillor Carter, whose initial had changed. I mean, D is next to S on the QWERTY keyboard, so. Can I take it up? I'm happy to vote for the, what's the word? Accuracy. What? Sorry, what was that, Margaret? Accuracy. Propose, yes, propose the accuracy and everything on the minutes is okay. Seconder? Councillor Carter, right, thank you. All those in favour of that? Yeah, Liz, yeah, she got there too. Right, brilliant. Excellent. The confidential extra bit is for noting only. I presume everyone's okay with that. Yes, brilliant, thank you. So matters arising from the minutes. Item 3. I've got an item, it's under item 3 for information only. So nothing, no, so yeah, go on for Andy, yeah.
Yeah, so under 4A you've got some action reports which try and capture everything since the elections. So we've included those as 3 other separate reports, but for tonight it's the 12th of January one. There's a few overdue items which is around the grants gateway and the grants policy, which is still being worked on in the office. We're hoping to get, well, we will get that to you for April, ready for the annual council meeting. I've had a very quick look through just now, and most of them are all green. It's around the grants. There was a couple of EMR releases which just haven't been cleared on the system because we don't until they've literally been released. So they're just showing as red at the moment. But I think everything else, I couldn't see anything else that came to mind on that 10-page initial one.
Sorry, yes, sorry. Because I put the agenda in sort of like double spacing. It was like, yeah, I missed the 4A at the bottom with all the notes that I'd made. So has anybody got anything any other questions to do with 4A? No, we're okay with that. Brilliant, thank you. Right, item 5. Right, has there been a stampede and a flurry and sackfuls of exciting questions and okay. Well, right, 6A, budget monitoring report quarterly. Over to Anne. Thank you.
Thanks. These are just as you've been circulated and provided. You've got your monthly budget analysis, which is the first report for GNR. You've then got the individual spends per code on the next report so that you can see how the larger sums have been split and spent. And then you also have the EMR balances at the current point. Yeah, and just to sort of follow on from what Andy said around the EMR releases on the minute references, I tend to leave them until the end of the financial year just to tidy them up because I can then link them all back for the auditor. So that's why I'm the last one on there and I'm red. So apologies if that makes it look really bad, but that's how I sort of process those. So yes, just whether you have any of the information that's in front of you.
Are we all okay? Any questions? That's great.
No, I don't think so.
We're okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we just need to vote for that. Voting for noting. Noting for voting. So I'm happy to propose seconder. Councillor Wright. All those in favour? Brilliant. Thank you. And then back to Anne again. Then for 6B and the carbon accounting reports. Yep.
Yes, so one of the things that we highlighted a little while ago was the fact that it would be nice to have the carbon accounting information for the council. When Kieran started, it was something that I worked with him and he did all of the background work. It was just sort of came from me as a direction in something that I thought it would be nice to have going forward and work on because it can shape any of your policies that you want and how we procure things, etc. So he has gone through and worked and got the 23-24 data and the 24-25, and these are the figures. Essentially, we're using these really as baseline figures. We will have our third year when we get past the end of March. And then what we would like to do is look at it in a bit more detail in some of the areas, extend it and come back through the directors and the managers to look at how we might adapt some of the slightly higher areas. So this is more just information at this stage, but I think it's a really nice thing to be doing and it's a really important thing to be doing. So yeah, it's a start, it's a work in progress.
Can I just ask, do we use a 100% green electricity and gas tariff?
I don't think it is, no.
Okay.
We've definitely asked that before.
Okay. Would that be something that we could look into?
Yeah, we look at our electricity every year. It's something that Kathy and I will be looking at in due course.
Sorry, Kathy, sorry.
I think it's a July-ish job, just before July, so we will have a look at that. And it's all, again, about the cost associated with that. There's always a balance to be had.
Are you? I don't know, is that tangent? Are we tied into a particular tariff? Have we signed into one or have we got an open one?
So at the moment we're in a fixed contract till, I think it's July. It is July sometimes.
Okay.
It was just a year.
So yeah, in May, start having a look at that. You know, people like Octopus and Ecotricity and do green electricity and commercial and gas and commercial and combined, of course. So, you know, just, you know, yeah.
Just on that, can I get a steer from members. Are you happy that we may pay slightly more and offset that against we're going more green, or are you happy with us looking at the costs there, bearing in mind you've set your budget, so there's very little wiggle room there. I think it's understanding, you know, if you prefer us to go fully green, then we can, but you may be paying a lot more for that. That's all I would say.
Yeah, I think you might be surprised actually that it might even be cheaper. Well, yeah, okay. So I think it would come May then to ask then for commercial, because if you're on full commercial, then of course you're paying 25% VAT, 20% VAT as opposed to 5%. So you'd be able to claim that back. So there'd be some sums involved. And I mean, if it is really a lot more, then, you know, hold our hands up and go, you know, it's just something to keep an eye on, I think.
We only ever look at the net of VAT, so our cost, even all of our providers only give you the pre-VAT figure because they know it's up to you to claim it back. That's not something they disclose. I suppose the only other side to that is a lot of our properties and our contracts we're not actually paying those bills, the tenants are, so that will impact them as well, potentially. But we will always look at our best deal and balance that, and we can have that focus that that's what you want us to try to achieve, and we can go forward with that.
I mean, yeah, okay. Maybe that we can have a talk with some time then, and about that as to whether different establishments have different contracts. I don't know how complex that would be, whether this was on a green contract as opposed to maybe Killacourt is on a standard one. So, yeah. I presume they have separate meters, so it can be separated out. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, we'll bear that in the back of our minds. Right, so it's voting for noting. Sorry, question. Yeah.
So I suppose less of a question, really, more of a statement in this new world of strategic versus operational. So I suppose in terms of the strategic direction, and welcome everyone's thoughts on this, I think what we should be doing is setting our direction of travel that we are aiming to get towards, as you know, as much carbon reduction in terms of our energy supply, and looking at the data, you know, it represents almost 4/5 of all of the carbon that we produce. So completely right. Let's look at those policies. But of course, we have to balance that with the public purse. I suppose the other thing that I would strategically think about are some of the decisions that this council's making around renewable energy. So we have renewable energy at Mount Wise Centre, and we'll be, you know, looking to be upgrading this site with renewable and battery in the next short while. So we need to be able to be nimble enough to also be flexible on that, because we might want to start energy trading with batteries and bits and pieces, and so we need to be able to have enough flexibility. So in terms of strategic, I think that's kind of where I would probably set it, and then, you know, and then let the officers operationalise that, but welcome any other thoughts on that. Thanks, John.
Are we selling the electric up there, or is it just for internal offsetting?
No battery up there.
It doesn't need we don't need a battery for selling. No, I mean you don't these days. Probably about 12p a unit.
I will check.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Where was I? Oh, proposing. Oh, did you have a question too? No. No other questions. No. Wonderful. We could get a series of treadmills, of course, couldn't we? And yeah. Lots of hamsters on. Right. Yes. Voting. I was proposing. Seconder. Councillor North. All those in favour? Wonderful. Thank you. Brilliant. Right, that's that one. 6C, annual investment strategy. The changes have been highlighted in red. So we're going to be voting on this as recommendation for full council. Has anybody got any questions for Anne and Andy on this? Yeah, go on. Yep.
So I suppose just a question for Anne really, does this give you the flexibility to be able to invest and maximise the cash that we've got in the bank on behalf of this council, given the the way that it's written and setting that as a kind of a strategic priority?
Yeah, it will be once we've got our new finance regs in. So about 8 months ago, it was looked at that I be given delegated authority to make those investments, to do the most, and we've not been able to do that because we're still restricted by our finance regs, which will go in May. I've looked at this a bit more in terms of a strategic document because we tend to hold large amounts of funds in a single bank or investment. So I put in some safeguards about how much we should hold. So I'm going to have to do quite a bit more work than previously, and initially won't be compliant with this policy because we do have a number of things to change. But I think it's a much better thing going forward. It's where we should be going forward, which is why there are a number of changes in this. But it should now fit with the new finance regs when they go through, and also the scheme of delegation and the intent from this committee of wanting to maximise our investments, which haven't really been able to do yet. So hopefully, yes.
Good.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting, even though they might be with one investment bank, those investments within that account are quite diverse and broad spectrum. They're not all invested into one company as such. So, and it's a fairly low risk. Before, if anyone gets any ideas as to that we're playing Russian roulette with public money.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Anything else from anybody? No, wonderful. I mean, thank you, Anne, for working on that and getting that up to date and keeping an eye on it. Really, I think the amount's changed as well, isn't it? To hold.
Yeah, we've got
Which
more,
is-
so I've updated them.
Yeah, so it reflects then the increased precept that we've been having over the last few years. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm happy to propose these, that they then go for full council. Seconder? Councillor North, all those in favour? Wonderful, thank you. Brilliant. Right, 7. 7A, financial regulations policy review. So, Andy and Anne, do you want to quickly go through, not quickly, it can take as much time as you want to. Would you like to go through this, please? So then again, we can vote for recommendation to full council. Thank you.
I'll be very quick. The financial regs are not quite there yet. They're going to be at the next meeting. So
Okay.
That's that item.
Oh, all right, gosh, that was quick, was it? Not yet. So not voting on yet then? No? Okay. Oh, tease. Right. 7B, review into terms of reference terms of reference, Government Resources Committee. So there's a draft there. Again, I'm looking for voting then for recommendation to full council on the terms of reference. Has questions? Oh, were you going to comment? No?
Just a quick question.
Okay.
Why are the terms head of service and chief executive apparently interchangeable in this document?
So it was felt important to specify, because the head of paid service is a statutory role,
Right.
whereas chief executive covers a multitude of different things. It was felt for the HR elements, making that point clear.
Very good.
Because some people might say, well, why is it head of paid service and not the people manager? But because they're actually responsible for staff.
That's the in statute. That's what. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I thought that would probably be the reason.
And then just to go through, so there's only tweaks really to a lot of the sections. It's introducing scrutiny elements into the terms of reference. It's matching your scheme of delegation. And it's just making it a bit more clearer that it's about strategic and policy setting in this room. Then it's the operational side for officers, and then the scrutiny of those decisions afterwards is back in this committee in this room. So that's really what these are trying to achieve. And these go to full council, and there's other tweaks to other terms of reference that also come forward.
So they'll complement each other.
Oh, sorry. I do like 8.1.5, which is to do not interfere with operational matters, save for the expected scrutiny and strategic oversight, which I really, as a sentence, is just brilliant, right? Love that. No objection.
Any other little music? No, sure.
The most amusing one, I thought.
Okay, okay. Wonderful. Okay, so yeah, so I'm happy to propose these terms of reference. Seconder?
Yeah, happy to second.
Councillor Creek, all those in favour? Wonderful, thank you. Great. Right, 7C then is SIL. So I'm just catching up on here. Right, SIL allocation. And go back up again. And I can scale back down again. Right. Okay, so Anne, do you want to go? I keep writing quickly in all my notes. Would you like to go through this for us,
Yeah,
please?
sure.
Thank you.
So essentially, there are plenty of opportunities to get additional SIL funding from Cornwall Council for projects. And one of the things that we need to look at as a committee is allocating our unallocated SIL money for projects that we have every intention of using them for. And there are a number of big projects that we are using this money for, and it's a case of wanting to make sure that we've allocated the suitable amounts, it's all recorded appropriately, and that we are then able to get additional funding for projects as and when it's required. So this report Kieran has created, and essentially what it's doing is just highlighting a couple of projects to which we are looking to do some match funding from the SIL pot. The two recommendations are the library roof with a 15% match funding and the South Fistral Play Area project, 15% match funding. This is so that when we go for grant funding, we have some match funding, and that they're projects that are within the council's intentions as well. What we want to do is just highlight that, and it tells you what our current balance is, the impact of the proposed match funding, and what would be left, and that's around 11,000, just over 11,000 pounds. So that's really, really good in terms of where you are going forward, and it tells you what your committed spend is for SIL funding so far. So it's just for information really, and for you to see that you are happy to do those two match funding pots for those two projects.
So, can I just say as well that, for instance, the Hotel Victoria development will be paying SIL from that. So, you know, there will be more SIL money coming into the pot in the future.
Yes, so we normally get 2 lots of SIL money a year, one in sort of April time and one in October, around just after the precepts are sort of divvied up and what have you. So this financial year we just got over £45,000.
Yep.
Does this kind of 11,000 that's left over, does that need to be allocated by a certain time, or is that just sat there waiting for something to come along?
That particular amount is just waiting for something to come along. The only condition is that if you have SIL money that's not used within or spent, and it's not allocated, it's spent within a 5-year period, you have to return it. So that's the key. So, and we've got quite a large amount of money going into the Mount Wise Play Area. So that will take us out for a few years. But what we need to be conscious of going forward is that if we're getting £45,000-50,000 a year, we're going to need to be spending it once we get 4 or 5 years down the line, because we can't afford to, well, you don't want to be repaying it, you want to use it for the intention it's been given.
Yeah. So if I can just draw attention then the second one, which was the footpath by the A3059, which has got a very out-of-date quote from highways for doing that. I think it's about, she said going back up again and then scrolling back down, it's about 46,000 from coming up 2 years ago. So what we were wondering is if it would be possible to approach highways to see maybe if some of that 11,000 could go into whether we need planning permission and that sort of thing, because otherwise it's just the footpath's just not going to happen, and we are a bit dependent on that footpath happening for us to then, when we get the DEFRA money, to link up and to loop back up to make a loop. And we're going to look then at the safety of that junction where this cycle track meets the 3059, and it's, you know, a great thing for the local community. It encourages then people that are walking as well to come from the campsites to then walk up and through the village, up to the village and then further on, maybe to catch buses or whatever, or to come back, as well as dog walkers and all that sort of thing. So, it's a great thing for the community. It links up then with the pavement that goes along the 3059 to the campsite, to Park Dean, on that corner. Otherwise, you're walking in the road. So it'd be a great thing to do. So do we need two votes on that? So do we need to vote for the first bit, actually?
Well, I would if the committee's happy, I would do the other one first.
Okay.
Say, do you want to allocate the remainder of that budget or an element of that towards that scheme for enabling works?
Yeah.
And then have the vote as that in total to full council to approve the allocations.
So you're going to ask a question there, Drew? Yeah, go on.
So I suppose I appreciate we've been sat on this for a couple of years now, and we've talked about it for a while. I wonder whether, if we approached Cornwall Council and offered to fund half of the cost, and see if they would fund the other half on that basis, because we will. So there's a couple of options. We will have some more money coming in, likely in April, which, all likelihood, it will cover half of that cost. Alternatively, there are options to move money from other places. We have jiggled money around from Seal to pay for a play park. We got a donation in for the play park, but because of some internal counting and making sure that we didn't have to pay the money back, we do have some money flushing around. Not a great deal, but we could potentially offer to pay up to 50% if they were willing to pay 50%. And I would expect them to be doing the planning permission, given that it's their highway. Yeah. So I wonder whether just writing to Jack and offering that as a, because I can't imagine they won't want to snap our hands up at a half price path. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sort of the actual verge on the corner we're responsible for. Town Council have got this triangle bit at the bottom, and so it is this strip of verge that is still Cornwall Council's. It's very odd. You thought they would have done the whole lot, really, that would have been ours, but it's not. Yeah, and it needs to zigzag round the the surprise bunker that highways didn't know about. And sort of like fence around that. So I mean that's an option too. I mean we've got a meeting with highways about the general safety of the 3059 later in March, 11th of March, something like that. Maybe that could be raised then.
I was just going to make a suggestion. You could agree to use this as part of the funding you're suggesting. So allocate this for that project, and then you can have those discussions. And then when you get your next lot of funding from SIL in April, you'll be able to know allocate the rest of the half of the project. By then, maybe we can get a more up-to-date quote as well or something.
Yeah, that would be useful, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, actually the A3059 safety catch-ups Monday, 2nd. Right, I'll write that on then. 50% seal TC. Right,
Which doesn't
okay.
necessarily need to be seal, but
Okay.
just 50% funded,
50
see what they say.
right, okay. To get this moving, you know, I am just concerned because I don't think Jack Thomas was really aware of like seal funding and how that works. So it could be that we put that in. It's stuck in a different pot application.
I mean, he doesn't need to understand from his perspective the seal. That's just where it might come from our stage. It's just a case of we'll go 50-50s with you.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that back to him and see what happens.
So, do we need to get the officers to go away and get a revised quote?
Well, I mean, that came from Jack Thomas, so it goes, because it involves highways, it's going to involve traffic lights and permissions on their land and stuff. It's sort of like, so I imagine that we'd need an updated quote from him.
That's what I'm saying. Should we get the officers to approach Jack and ask for that quote? Given
Could do.
it should come through official channels, I think.
Okay, yeah, no, sure.
Yeah? Do we don't need to vote on that, do we? No, that's fine.
No. I mean, so do you want to make that?
We will contact Jack Thomas for an updated quote. I think the key question tonight is if members are happy, let's vote on allocating the 11,284.31 towards that.
Yeah.
And also then if everyone's happy with the rest, that will go to full council for adoption.
But I didn't know if you wanted to mention that in that updated quote.
Doesn't really matter.
No. Okay.
Sorry, just quickly. And will you mention about match funding? Yeah, thank you.
So I had an email and I still haven't gone back on it because this lady's email wasn't working back. Whichever the institution that covers Sustrans as well, they're looking to improve that crossing there. So there might be some funding from that too. I'll dig that email out when and see if you can track them down, because it means phoning up actually their base in Bristol and going, hello, this person, yes, I would like to talk to them. Okay, yeah, I'll do that at the end. Brilliant. Right, so voting on, what am I voting on? The seal allocation report, the first one, yes? Do I need to vote on that?
The second one, so it's do the 11,283.31 towards this 50% towards it.
Yeah.
That's the first vote, and then the second one is everything in total on the report.
Okay, right, thank you. Right, so I'm happy to propose then the potential 50% then for us funding for that footpath on the A3059 seconder. Oh gosh, that was a split race. I think you got there just about then, Councillor Creek. All those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. And then the general reference then is to the seal allocation report. I'm happy to propose that. Seconder, Councillor Wright on that one. All those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Right, risk assessment. Andy's discussing this, I think. Yes.
Apologies, it was a last-minute addition. There's only 3 amendments to the existing risk assessment, so I thought it was prudent whilst we had a meeting to go through. So there was one existing risk around inadequate resource capacity in the office to cope with increase in addition workloads, projects. I think it's now true to reflect in the risk assessment that post-staff review, once everyone's in position, that risk has been mitigated. So I wanted that clearly in there to say, yes, we've ticked that one off, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the other high risks that I've included is the inability to fill vacant roles, as we're finding with some very key roles. So what I've said in terms of mitigation is we will continue to try recruitment. We will also go through agency for temporary support if needed, if it's an operational requirement. And if we really can't fill those vacancies long term, we would do a role review to see, well, what does the council need? Can we make it look a little bit more attractive, but still within the context of what does the council need, not create things for the sake of it. So that's just one of the mitigations points there. And then the third one is perhaps more about, it's a medium risk around in the future operational decisions may not meet the expectations of members. And that could be on an individual basis or committee basis. And one of the mitigations there is that the council is very clear on the policy and the strategic direction, so that officers know what are the key outputs, you know, what are your key, you want this delivered, we can deliver it in 1,000 different ways, but what are the key outcomes that you want? I think so long as that's done, that should be mitigated, and we shouldn't see any conflict there. So those were the 3 items that I really wanted to get clear in that risk assessment. If members are happy with that, then this would get noted formally.
So, yeah, again, voting for noting and then going on for full council. Councillor Creek?
Yeah, I suppose just on that last point, Andy, I think this is, you know, we talked about this before, didn't we? We're certainly partway through a journey with this process. It's going to take some time to bed in for officers and for councillors. It's a very different way of working to that which we've done before. And so I suppose to try and mitigate that, and I don't know how best to do this, and maybe Harriet, you can help us, is to try and ensure that whoever's clerking the meetings really tries and teases out of councillors what those strategic direction points are that we want to hit on a project, for the avoidance of doubt further down the line. And then there's also some upskilling, I think, for councillors on their ability to scrutinise in the right way, you know, and of course there will be some of that pre-decision scrutiny, you know, throughout the meeting, and then that post-decision scrutiny through the committees as well. So I think we're all just going to feel that one out, aren't we, over the next year? But I think if we can try and tee up officers to be as firm and as clear with, you know, councillors, what is it you want from this project, you know, so that we're really clear and you know, making sure that we're getting all of those points in the minutes so that there is no arguments, you know, because I can foresee, not because anyone thinks anyone's doing a bad job or anyone wants to cause an argument, but I can certainly foresee that there could be friction in this intervening period. Thank you.
Just that we get updated, because I feel, you know, I've been here 13 years, we're always chasing. You know, you ask for something to be done, you don't hear anything, and then you feel, oh, they think we're nagging again. But actually we should get updates so we know where they are with something, because before you know where you are, you're 6 months down the line. When you mention something, they'd say, oh, I don't remember that. So I think it's really important that we get that right too.
Just to reassure members, I think what we're trying to do is change the report formats so that you will see regular managers' reports, and they'll have a lot of the decision reports as well. So you should be able to see that, and that's also why we've changed. So you're getting the action logs now. So everything from the election you can see, oh, well, 2 years ago we made that decision. What actually happened? So it also helps with that. Why haven't we had an update on this? Where are we? So it's not all on members to have to bring that up. So that's another piece of work that's happening in the background. So there is some things going on, yeah.
So I think the matrix, the new tool that we've got where we can have a look at what's happening, is that exactly what you were just talking about? Yes, great. Really big fan of that. It means we can do exactly what Councillor North was just saying, where we can check in on stuff if it's updated. So really useful piece of kit. Thank you.
Can I just say, at the current time, the 4 that you've got the last 4 minutes, or the agenda's items, and they've got all of them on. And I think what we'll probably do is just do the most current ones that have all, so you can see what's been completed. But the older ones will only have the outstanding, so they'll be a bit shorter. And then you'll know what projects were up, and then all the managers will get a chance to update them before they come to the meetings. And then the big projects are within, like Andy said, our draft document for managers to report on. So you should get the level of information that you need.
Can you just remind me what that tool is called? So that it's just on iBabs. Is it what's it called though? I saw it last time I was here, but I just wanted to check because I just called it a matrix, but it's probably not called that. Okay, thanks.
Be a good name for a film. Anything else on that? No? Okay then, so I'm happy to propose that. Seconder? Councillor Wright, all those in favour? Did you put your hand up? Yeah, got there. Brilliant. Great, 7E then, internal audit. So, internal audit review and appointment of auditor. And again.
Hi, so I've written a report on our internal audit review. We recently had a 3-year contract, which is due to end at the end of this financial year with that sign-off of that audit assignment. So I've got a couple of quotes. We did go to a number of companies around internal audits who do town and parish councils. A couple who just don't have the capacity at the current time. And so therefore we have 2 quotes. One from our existing auditor for a 3-year fixed fee, and the other one on an hourly rate. And now they've based our audit on 15 hours. It looks at the scope that's carried out with the audit, whether they're independent and their competence, and then there's a recommendation. The recommendation from me is for us to reappoint our existing internal auditor. I feel that the 15 hours that they have estimated from the other company isn't sufficient to carry out both the interim audit and the final audit, especially when you have a new auditor. There is an element of learning attached to that. And I think that we've had very good services from our existing auditor, and that is my recommendation. I do think probably at the end of this 3-year term there will be a lot more internal auditors to get quotes from, and we may be in a position where we do not have the option to go ahead with another 3 years from our existing auditor. But obviously it is a committee decision. It's about testing the market and what is best value, and you have both quotes. But my recommendation is to stay with our existing auditor for a further 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. I mean, the other one's based in Surrey, and they might have put in for 15 hours, but obviously somebody's got to get down here, haven't they? And what are they charging on top of that for coming down and staying and going back again and things? So I'm quite happy to stay with Hudson. Anyone got any points they want to ask? If not, I'll propose. No?
Happy to go with Hudson. Again, I think you've noted in your report about recommending including review of updated policies, procedures, risks. I think that that seems appropriate given where we are and where we've just finished the staff review. So happy to accept both those recommendations. Yeah.
Happy to propose. Seconder. Councillor Carter. All those in favour? Brilliant. Yeah, for staying with Hudson. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anne. 7E 2.EIs is the assertion review. So that's voting for noting again that due process has been undertaken for those. Has anyone got any questions from the assertion reviews that councillor hasn't been seen again because they disappeared off with all the loot? No? No? Okay, so I'm happy to propose those 2 assertion reviews. Seconder? Councillor Wright, all those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. 7FI, internal interim audit report. Oh gosh, that's tongue twister almost, isn't it? Yeah, does anyone, do you want to, Anne, do you want to pass comment on that? No?
Yeah, sure. It's just as set out, really. There's nothing really to
No.
highlight, and it is as it is. There's no forward recommendations or problems or issues that have arisen. So it's just your interim audit report. It's a bit later than normally. We normally get it around November, December time, so it's a little bit late. But the work has been carried out, and that was down to us, really.
I'm happy to propose. Seconder? Councillor Wright, all those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. Right, correspondence. Yeah, there's some counting errors in the eagle-eyed of you in the minutes. Leaping to item 10. Correspondence. No, not even a card. So, item 11. 11A, right, head of pay. So do we need to go into, we do, we need to go, oh, what's...
You don't have to read it, it's just going into exempt business.
Going into exempt business now, so we're going to be going offline. So, farewell and see you at the next meeting.